All right. Do you want to just go straight into going live, or do you want to
Yeah,
get starting soon?
let's go live, baby.
Okay. Well, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Do we have sound? Who knows? We're about to find out.
We should, but I'm not. I don't have us up yet, so I can't say.
I'm working on it right now. Yeah, we got sound.
Yep. All right. Sounds live. We're live. Butts live.
You
Hey,
say you're a
ladies
butt
and
slave?
gentlemen, your butt is live. Look at your butt.
No, you're butt slave. You said that you're a butt slave.
No, I said butts live. It's stuffed. Give me a sec.
You know what that sound is? Unperturbed oxygen.
That was for you, big boy. Anyway, um, hello, gentle folk of all kinds. Should have muted for that cough. Oh well. Hello, gentle folk of all kinds. Welcome again to another exciting. Wait, again? This one's not another again. This one's something's different. If you
Correct.
happened to have been a fan of our No Dice series, where we just talked about like TTRPG stuff, you may have recognized that, or you may have seen last week when we were on No Dice. Not last week before last, when we were playing No Dice. We discussed all these games you could use to build a world. Then we discussed, well, why don't we do that? And then my temporary turned long term co host, Henry, was like, well, I've actually got an idea for you. What do you think of this? And I was like, that ain't a bad idea. Next thing you know, here we are. For our first,
Yes.
bless you, for our first episode of Building by Torchlight, where we're going to build Henry's wild wallless world, aka Mediocre Mart. And we're going to do it using,
And Mega Mart. There's an ongoing list of names for that world.
sure, Megamart is undoubtedly already taken. So,
Oh, absolutely.
anyways, so we're gonna do that starting today with a little game called, since I have the screen up and you can just look at it, our Pantheons, Legends. Our Pantheons is actually a game that is a tweak of another game. I didn't know this until today when I was doing more research. It's a tweak of another game that is also a world building game called Divided Worlds or something like that. Which we might
Obviously subpar, so
which we might play if we like this, or if we don't like this, we'll never touch it. It'll really depend. So today we're going to play our Pantheon. The introduction here talks about how it's 2 to 4. Luckily enough, we've got 2 players right here because it's
we
a
have that.
skipless game. Yep. We can give our feedback for the maker and all that stuff. Here's the things we need to play. We need a copy of a rule book, which we have,
Mhm.
and the deck of chaos cards, which I have. I have that downloaded as well.
Okay.
And we'll need a writing utensil or a text entry device, which we also have because I have a notes page that I should have shared with our good friend Henry. So Henry, do you remember me sharing my notes page with you? The Walrus World notes.
No.
Then let me open them up and make sure that they're shared with you.
Well, I have not checked.
Well, let me make sure.
I'm checking my Google Docs now.
I should have sent you a link.
You did not send me a link, but
This would have been a while ago. 2 weeks ago, in fact. Uh-oh, everybody can see my stuff. Maybe I'll just boop. Do that for the sake of anonymity. I'm gonna copy this link and then I'm gonna send
Yeah.
it again.
No, I don't have it.
Okay. Paste.
You're gonna get your butt kicked, dude.
That should
Yeah,
be it.
Jeff.
Fuck. What did I do?
You
Get
didn't.
in bed now.
Well, you heard the lady, Jeff.
All right, guys. Game's over. Sorry.
Gotta go to bed.
I've got to go to bed now. Right now.
Mommy says night night. Okay, I'm clicking the link now. Clicking the link now. Ba-ba-dee-dee-ba. Oh my god, you didn't share it. It says request access. I requested access. You didn't think to eat before stream, Jeffrey? Well, Jeffrey has everyone muted because he doesn't find us important enough. See ya.
You have access.
I have access. Now that Jeff's back, he can entertain you guys.
All right. All right. Let's go back to, we can now let everybody see this again. So there's our notes, which I should pull off in case I want to use them later. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'd already pulled off the notes.
Why?
Back into this.
Share it with me.
All right. So what we'll need to play, which we have,
Pepper, I'm gonna take everything away from you. You're being
a text entry device. We've got that in our little notes page. Please do all your notes in a different color. That way they can be distinguishable. So we've got our little notes page. We'll also need a large shared circle to draw.
I'm gonna verify you're doing the right. That just makes it.
What?
It's still not working for me. It's still saying access denied.
I just granted you answer. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Closing out of Google Docs altogether. Clicking this. Yeah.
Okay. You should have access.
Okay, now I'm gonna log into Google on a whole new thing. Do it all over again.
Okay. Tell me how they.
Jeff, I gotta take over.
You got it? Okay. So we have our little Word document. Oh, gosh. Next, we need a surface we can draw right on. We got that. I got us a big-ass surface for that. Look at our giant map that I made us, guys. All right. It says we can do it in Roll20, and that's what we did. Shared notes and notebooks, Google Docs, blah, 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 includes your world as well as things like the palette. See the formless phase. Okay. Top level rules. Our Pantheon is a is a game of guidelines more than rules. But the following rules are the most important to make sure the game's guidelines flow effectively. They will be constantly reinforced throughout this book. 1, player safety. It's the job of every player to make sure that everyone feels safe during play. The
For sure.
fiction you've created and the mechanics in the game are secondary to the enjoyment of all the players. Understand that? You have to make sure I feel safe, Henry.
Show me a butthole.
I don't feel safe anymore.
Okay, new game.
So that's basically, that's all that is covering is don't do anything that either of us wouldn't be okay with, which is totally okay. I get that. If we happen to stumble across something that either of us wouldn't be okay with, which I feel like we're on the same page for the most part, but if we do, we'll talk about it like adults because we can do that. All right, ask questions, build on the answers. The main thing you do in this game is state that something exists, then get asked questions to expand on that thing in short response.
It's improv. Yes, and.
Yes. Statements can be verbal, such as describing how people live, or visual, such as drawing a lake on a map. Whenever you state something about the world, draw something on the map. Or draw something on the map. It's called defining. To play this game, you must define stuff about your world. In many ways, you are defining stuff about your world, then you are playing this game. Okay. Leave blank spaces. This is a collaborative storytelling game, and as such, no one player has full authority over the fiction. To play the game successfully, to build off each other's ideas. It's important that every player is included in all aspects of creative process as much as they want to be. The easiest way to do this is to find small pieces and allow others to build for them. Does that seem easy enough?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Pause for nose blowing. Vamp while I blows my nose.
Boots and cats and boots and cats. Cats and boots and cats. Wait. Cats and boots. Not boots and cats. If you put boots and cats, we need to talk because that's not okay.
There. All right. Gods and mortals. This is a game about places and people that are created and influenced by a group of deities. You will be playing both the deities and the individual mortals at this time, or at times. This section will describe the different terminology that will come up in this book. The player characters. Regardless of how many people are at the table to play, all of them will be playing multiple characters at different points. You will be playing as deities for the most part, but there are times when you will set scenes with mortal characters. You may be playing as a god in one scene, then as a farmer in the next. Deities. Deities, gods, whatever you call them, are the principal creators of this game. Each player will be playing a deity that they will define during the formless phase. Then, in the legends phase, your deities will be shaping the lands and creating things that inhabit them. See phases of play for more info. Chaos. The deities have a lot of power. They can see anything, be anywhere, know what they need to know. But they do not have control over everything. Mortals act with their own will. They may do their best to follow the whims of the gods, but they are far from perfect. They will likely mess up whatever they are told to do. Whether the physics of the cosmos can be whether and the physics of the cosmos can be similarly unpredictable, even for a god. This is what the game means when it uses chaos. It is the things that are beyond the control of the gods. The void. The void, the deities in your world came from somewhere. Where exactly depends on the players at the table. Occasionally, the game will refer to the void. It's referring to wherever your game's deities are from or have a connection to. The void's exact nature can be anything you want. You do not need to describe or define it, but if you feel the need to spend a few moments discussing it, do not dwell on the topic unless you know it will have a significant role in the fiction you are making.
All right, I got the next one. Time. In Legends, the scale of time is not well defined. This is the intentional as this is not a game about creating a massive timeline of sequel events. Around Oh, I thought she was looking at me. A round in this game may cover a few days to hundreds of years and is all depends on how you, the players, want to interpret things. You can just say how long a thing takes to happen. This storm raged for 3,000 years, until one night it suddenly stopped. Is a perfectly valid way to interpret the flow of time in your world.
All right. Next up is creatures. Creature in this game's terms for any being is that being that appears alive and is not a deity. It is also synonymous with the word species in the context of the game. They can be animals, people, ghosts, automatons, dragons, whatever. It can refer to your traditional fantasy species like elves and dwarves, beings from mythology like sphinxes or any other species you come up with. Example, a squid that walks like a man. The game does not really distinguish between what we would traditionally think of as animals and people. It can be either and everything in between. Don't feel like you have to be bound to traditional ideas of intelligent species to have a creature form a society. If you want to define a group of just normal wolves or bees or whatever as a society, then go for it. Be sure to discuss this during the palette. The main creatures you will define are the ones that are important to your narrative. The species your mortal characters will be the species your mortal characters will be. You do not need to define every creature that inhabits your world. Common animals, whatever they may be for you, are included when you draw new places in the map. For example, if you draw forests, you do not have to define each species of tree, bird, mammal, insect, etc. that exists in the forest. When you define a creature, give it a short description on what it's like. You do not need more than a sentence or three. Refer to the list of creature traits in the appendix if you need some examples. Am I still going?
Oh, yes.
Next up is mortal characters.
Jeff. Los Telefono. Sorry, bear with us for a moment.
Hell yeah, dude. Without going into too much detail, our friend Henry has been taking some medication that may make him lose focus. So bear with him.
Very much so.
Bear with him as we go through this. But we're still having fun.
I'll go on. Mortal characters. Your world will be populated with mortal beings of some kind, and there are times when you will be playing as them. While this game is about the world and societies that these mortals inhabit, it isn't really about them as individuals. You should treat mortals as disposable. Not that they are insignificant, but depending on your time scale, mortal characters will likely not be around for more than a round.
Fair enough.
Y'all gonna die.
So mortal characters are mortal characters. They just may not exist that long. Societies are large groups of creatures that have more or less agreed to live in a certain way together.
Okay. Jeff, sorry to interrupt. Let's do a quick synopsis of the rules.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot.
We can break these down. All this stuff is kind of important as far as terms that we need. Societies are societies. It's a group of creatures that decided to live together. It can be anything that you might say is a society. A faction is a
Girl Scouts club.
A faction is a Girl Scouts club. Sure, a faction.
Boy Scouts club.
Group within the society. So that can also be anything. It's just a part of a society, not bigger than. I really wanted to try to mute before I sneezed, but I just couldn't get to the mute button fast enough. All right, do objects of power real quick.
The gods' mortals world will likely create or discover wondrous items that are embedded or imbued with all sorts of powers. So, okay, just essentially legendary weapons and things of the like.
Yeah. All right, great game structure. This is important as far as like how we move on. Our Pantheon is in 2 phases. Each phase has slightly different rules and levels of complexity. These phases are 1, the formless phase, where you define the boundaries of your world, and 2, the legend phase, where you define the space and peoples of your world. While different elements of this
comment break. Normally, the easiest way in adding fantasy elements is to first ensure everyone understands that the world and what we know of reality are all working and in place unless specifically stated otherwise. If there's a misunderstanding, like thinking a specific animal exists, but it does not, in setting, the GM will inform you. World creations can plot down a massive amount of information, just trying to ensure reality is maintained, but is often not interesting and even less likely to be entertaining. I could see that. You want to have a little bit of the element of surprise and, hey, I've created this in my world that you wouldn't expect, while not remaining too linear.
I think largely what he's talking about is that things are just there unless stated otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yeah, I think that'll be a big thing to keep in mind as we move forward. All right. So while the elements of this game can vary depending on phase, what you will be doing all of the following in each of them. Drawing a map, role-playing in scenes, rolling dice, and playing cards from the Chaos deck. So, defining your world. In previous versions, blah, 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 blah. In Legends, it's not the case. When you want to define something, simply state it exists. The only restriction is that it has to be on your turn or if you are asked directly. During the Legends phase, you will have a set of general actions that you can do that will allow you to state facts about the world. Hold on a second. Other players will then ask you questions to help define things further. Questions can be leading, but they just have to be connected to the topic being defined. Be simple and shouldn't define something brand new or direct the spotlight to the deity you are playing. Say a player states that there are elves living in the forest they just drew. Some strong questions you would ask are, what do they eat? Are they a monarchy? Do they trade with already established people living in the nearby beach? Weaker questions would be, how do they respond to previously undefined threat? Were they able to survive the plague I sent them just now? Is the elven princess able to overcome the death of her beloved? These weaker questions would make great questions to prompt for scenes, but are not really appropriate when asking for more detail. You may also end up discussing a lot of aspects as a group instead of taking turns and asking taking turns asking and answering. While this can be helpful and necessary at times, it's best to leave discussion as a last resort for when you're really stuck. Freeze discussion can often be extremely hard to resolve or lead to one player taking control of the game. It's fine to ask other players for help or even momentarily cede the floor to them. I'm not going to read the example, that's not necessary. All right, hold on.
The map, as defined earlier, the map should be divided into 12 columns of 8. Okay, so this is already structured. We've already gone and done all this ahead of time. It's essentially just laying out our grid.
I sneeze and you sneeze.
We all sneeze for sneezies.
Yeah.
No, we all sneeze for Yeezys. I want me a comfy pair of them.
Yeah, so this phase is just about defining the map, which we have a big old huge ass grid because I wanted to make something that if we decided we wanted to play on that map precisely would be doable. So it's fucking gigantic. And I almost made a bigger version.
Yeah. Throttle back, big boy.
All right, let's see. Scenes. A scene is where you'll roleplay characters to find out what happens at a specific point. Scenes can be very helpful to define things like new species and societies, or to expand on what has already been established.
So acting out a scenario. Simple as that.
Right. Every scene starts with a question and ends when it's answered, which is an important detail. Questions always involve something that's already defined, but can define new related things. They can be built around something another player defined, and it doesn't matter when something was defined. So it has to be around something that's already defined, and it doesn't matter when it was defined for you to start the scene. You can add something, define something new if you like.
Yep. We're going to hit a lot of them yes ands.
All right. Let's see. React.
Okay.
All right. During the Legends phase, each player gets one special action called a react each round. Reacts should be short, dictated scenes about what established characters or groups are doing.
You want it back on, Harper? You have to get it back.
The previous thing happening. This action should not necessarily be used to find brand new things, whole cloth, but to build things that have already been established. Reacts are meant to tie up loose ends. However, it can be a great place to hint at other ideas or nudge the narrative in a certain direction. Okay, cool. Something you can use to kind of push things around. All right, here's where we get
to have it's your yes and that interacts with the other.
Sure, but it's the whole game is improvisation. So saying things are a yes and is too broad. The whole thing's a yes and.
Yes.
But all right, let's move on to the chaos cards. At a certain point in the game, a chaos card is drawn.
And that will add an element of unpredictability to the world.
Yes.
Usually they involve the world changing on its own or people deciding to do something without influence from its deities. These events can be negative, positive, or neutral, and it is up to the deities to decide if and how they want to interfere.
You do not get into your...
All right. That'll be interesting when we get there. Let's see. Typically list questions on them. These questions are suggestions. Feel free to come up with your own. Alternatively, instead of answering the questions during the event, you can treat it as a scene without your deities. Okay. Cool. Those are weird. But
I was... Hold on, comment break. I was reading the whole time and had no idea that I was muted. The way this seems to play is more questions and answers should be of some importance unless you risk entering a very slow and boring slog. Example of a bad question: what do rabbits eat? Carrots. For the response, yeah. Wow, they eat carrots? Scene. Yes, very much. So my dad used to always ask, if carrots are good for your eyes, you've heard this, right, Jeff? Okay. So, if carrots are good for your eyes, why are there so many dead rabbits in the road? This whole mute and you
I don't
eat
know.
food, Jeffrey.
I don't know.
This whole you mute and you eat food, Jeffrey. Unmute faster.
I talk a lot and you talk a little, so
that was the joke. If carrots are so good for your eyes, why are there so many dead rabbits in the road?
I heard world, and I was like, that's just a weird thing to say, but okay.
Oh, road.
Oh, gosh, I'm on my Facebook. What the heck?
Oh, now I know people you know.
Shit, you might.
And things they say.
Knock it off.
Sadly, the carrots are not as good for their brains as their eyes, right?
Fair enough. All right, next up is dice rolls. There are times and specific actions where outcomes will be influenced by dice rolls. You never have to resolve these situations with dice, but it is an option. All dice rolls in this game use a standard 6-sided die, which is referred to as a d6. All right. The result should be interpreted like this: a 6 is a hit, complete success, or failure with little to no consequence. 4 to 5 is a partial hit, a success at a cost, or minor failure. 1 to 3 is a miss, or a success at extreme cost, or major failure. But okay, I have some of those. I'm ready. Got the D6s ready. Player versus
I
player
do too.
conflict.
But mine don't do a tink like that. I mean, I guess they do.
Yeah. Player versus player conflict. Sometimes you may run into a situation where role playing isn't getting you anywhere. This can be especially true when role playing as your deities. I do this. Well, I do this to counter. Okay, well, I counter your counter with this. That's time consuming and no fun for players not involved. Luckily enough, there's only the two of us. Rules for player versus
I was distracted, sorry.
Rules for player versus player conflict are simple. All players involved roll 2d6. Whoever has the highest result according to the rules described above wins. But all results are true to fiction. So if player A gets a 6 and player B gets a 5, then A wins with a hit and B loses with a partial hit. If player A rolls a 6 and player B rolls 2 6s, then player B would win. In the case of a true tie, i.e. both players roll the exact same thing, then treat the results as one tier lower. A hit becomes a partial hit, etc. And keep the results for both as part of your fiction. Okay, do you understand that? I didn't think so.
So it seems to me like it's just I roll a 5, you roll a 4, cool, so on and so forth. I would have won in that scenario, and then flip it, you would win it. Nope.
All right, so the way it breaks down is that if we happen to have a conflict between each other, we both roll 2d6. Then we decide, based on the rules of partial hit, and all that, who wins based on the higher roll, the more successful hit. But the fiction plays out based on the rolls. So I may have done better, but that doesn't mean you did the worst. You
Harper!
partial hit in certain scenarios, or so on and so forth. Unless we tie, in which case we both just get one result less. The important thing is the result of the dice rolls are true to fiction. All right, let's see. Mortal Quest. Sometimes you may have to have your mortals take on some sort of adventure that would just not fit into a single scene. This is where Mortal Quests come into play. Quests are a series of challenges the mortal's character must overcome. These goals should be sequential, but each goal gets a dice roll regardless of the result of their goals. Example, a group of adventurers must destroy the evil Dread Knight. 1. Cross the boiling sea. 2. Infiltrate the Dread Knight's keep. 3. Defeat the Dread Knight. 4. Escape the collapse. Each of these goals will have a d6 roll associated with them. Quests always fail forward, however. They may ultimately fail at their tasks, but rolling a 1 on their first goal does not mean their quest is over at the start. They get a chance each goal, regardless of the roll before it. If they miss multiple or all goals, it is likely that they failed or succeeded at great cost. All right, so at certain times, we may put into the fiction a quest that the mortals do. We just have to divide that into tasks, roll a d6 for it. They always fail forward, as in they keep moving forward. They may fail outright, but they don't fail outright.
But it opens a door somewhere else.
Yeah, they don't fail outright with just one roll. All right, phases of play. There's the 2 phases of play. That's the formless phase, where board boundaries of the world create and define, blah, 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 or broad boundaries of the world create and define. It's more than just character creation. You'll define the deities you're playing, where they came from, what sort of world you'll be making, blah, blah, blah. That's probably what we're going to get started today, is the formless phase. And then and then after that, it's the legend phase. The formless phase, you will define what is and isn't in your world.
Everything's in your world until said otherwise. Next.
That's the saying otherwise phase. Just a heads up there. Anyways, who the deities of the world are, drop initial map of the world, and in the phase by playing the first chaos card. If you have not played the game before, then it is recommended that you at least read the what you will need to play in top level rules, game structure sections. We already did. Okay. The palette. The first step in this phase is to define what your world will and won't be.
We'll go over that once we get to it.
To do this, you'll set up what is called the palette. The palette's purpose is to define and discuss the boundaries of your world and what is allowed at the table. This isn't just about the fiction boundaries, like whether there are dragons or how magic behaves, but also the emotional boundaries of the players. Remember, safety and comfort of the players at the table is more important than acting out one's personal fantasy. The palette is where this sort of stuff gets brought up. Of course, you may not be able to cover everything in the palette. If anything makes you uncomfortable during play, you can address it. Under shared notes, create 3 columns. Start working on these columns, Henry.
On
the notes.
The docs?
Yep.
Okay, I was just making sure.
The 3 columns, make 3 of them and label them yes, veils, and no. The yes column is for ideas you want to include in the world. Anything that gets listed in this column is fair to bring up at any point during the following phase. It doesn't mean that things listed here exist in your world, only that they can exist. Some examples: airships, tea magic, talking squirrels, and non-heteronormative creatures. The no column is the opposite. Things in that column can never be brought up or and are not part of your world at all. This column is for things that are forbidden. These things can be heavy topics, but they can also be tropes you find boring or overdone. Things you just don't like. Examples: magic without a cost, animals that a player has a phobia about, sexual violence, and slavery. Which those last two, yes, put those in the no pile right away. The veils, I might be willing to make addendums on slavery. Sexual violence, though, for sure. The veils column is a little different. Things in this column may come up in play, but if they do, then you end the scene. Cut to black, or yada 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 over it. This can be especially useful for topics where one or more players just don't want to deal with the moment, but may be hard to avoid. Examples: violent death, violence against animals, scatological topics, and sex. To start, the person who has a clear idea writes it down in the corresponding column. The other players can ask for clarification and further discuss it, but try not to spend more than a minute or so in that discussion. Then move around the table and make sure every player adds at least 2 things to the palette. The palette is complete when one player decides they have nothing else to add. No one player should add more than 2 things to the palette. Should add more than 2 things to the palette than any other player. If you find yourself stuck but are not ready to move on, then refer to the coloring the palette section in the appendix. During the rest of the game, palette will be referred to frequently. There's some assumptions making blah, 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 blah. All right, so we're in the palette phase right now. There's only 2 of us, so this is easy. We just have to put 2 things in each column. So
Okay.
we have the yes, the no, and the veils.
Yes.
I've already put sexual violence in the no's column.
Yeah, I already have it listed there.
So let's go to you.
Nose. What do I know?
Harper.
No ends.
No ends?
Yeah, like to any of the hallways, to any of that.
Okay, no, like dead ends.
Correct.
Okay, no dead ends. Put it in there. It won't show up in your world. Should have muted for that nose blowing session. Oh well. Stupid.
And I'm going to do a comment break here. Kenny's putting in a lot of good feedback.
Kenny usually does.
Well, I don't really have much. I would put it in the no column, but there are things better left. Oh my gosh. But there are things that are better, in my opinion, left without any or very few details. As mature as people can be, the game is a game, and too many serious topics with a break will often break your players. I agree with that. I have GM'd games so hard that doing things like the player looking up or smiling gets the character killed at certain points. This type of game can only be done for a few hours at most, or as a one-shot at best. Yeah, I could see those causing a lot of issues.
Get in your bed immediately.
For real. All right. So, no dead ends. I would like to put in no child violence, just to make it real easy. Hit the worst ones right out the gate. I feel like that's something you wouldn't be cool with, and I think for the sake of our viewership, it's one of those. Let's make sure we mark that off. Right.
Yeah, it's funny that there are some people that can pull it off, though, that it doesn't feel dirty like that, like Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah, but they're not really doing child violence, and I think that's what's.
That's what I'm getting at is they 100% danced through and around it, but never touched it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and they do. They touch on the idea, but like, I think when I say it like that, you know what I mean. And they never even danced around the idea of like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like a child in a fantasy world having to fight to survive. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like the one thing they did get close to is abuse. Specifically with Ron's story, they get very they touch on the abuse of his story. But
yeah.
Anyways, that's 2 for me, bud.
Okay. My last no. See, it's funny because you're thinking character based, and I'm thinking world based.
It's funny because I'm thinking world based, but it feels
Get in your
character
bed
based.
right now. I'm going to smack your
Yes.
butt and take away your pacifier. Knock it off.
Like these are rules of the world we build, right? Because the world's
Correct.
gonna have a fiction. And
I'm
it's
just saying
like
yours
a-
is more life form based
Yes.
than mine. They're both very impactful in a world sense because there would be a impact on the people not having a sky.
Sure. Absolutely. I don't know if you said out loud no sky, but no sky.
I said sky and then I went back and I put no sky.
Yes. All right. So our 4 no's right now are no sexual harm, no dead ends, no child violence, and no sky.
I feel like
we covered.
the dead ends is a bad one, but I felt on the spot.
Do you? It's okay. We're allowed to discuss these.
I feel like no dead ends is a very daunting task
I would agree with that.
because at the end of this hallway, well,
There's got to be something in the world. There is no dead ends.
yeah,
I think that you can put that in the veils, maybe. Even in the veils, like that's too much.
yeah. No, I think no dead ends is a bad
little
one.
too sharp. It's a little too sharp of an.
I
of an
agree.
ending there. What else you got?
No needing to use the restroom. I don't know why, but that popped in my head. That one's super silly and unimportant. I don't like it, but it kind of made me chuckle a little bit.
I mean, that's really a player thing more than a
Yeah, absolutely.
like just making it so that the whole. I mean, you could the whole world we build. No one ever needs to use the restroom, but putting it in that phrase means that they still get to. They just don't need to.
No defecation. No one defecates. They don't go to bathroom stops. But hey, I can tell you, I've personally heard people be like, hey, yeah, my character goes out to the woods to take a pee. No, he doesn't. Why not? He can't pee.
No defecation in my world. Nobody poops. The world I made, we've got a book. It's written and it's called Nobody Poops, but it doesn't make any sense because nobody poops, so they don't even know what poop is.
How do they know what poop is? Ooh, here's an interesting one.
No alcohol or drugs?
That would be interesting. Not super impactful in a way that is negative, but Like, what do you do at a tavern now?
You're really going outside of the box for these no's when you really could have gone
Oh,
very inside
you
the box for these no's. Like,
fucking asshole!
no racism or no, you're like, you're reaching for these, and there's a lot of things that are like right at the front. Like I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like
I changed my vote. No racism. That's what I want. Actually, hold on.
It's up to you. This is your no. I'm just saying that like there's a lot of things that are like right at the forefront that are easy, right? Stuff that you can handle right out the gate. You're like, you could say there's no demons in your world. You could say there's no fucking like, you could hit all the right out the front big things like the tropes. You could be like, I don't want to do this trope ever again. So it's a no in my world. Jay will never play.
I know. It says no short people for.
Yes, it says no short people. No sky was actually pretty good, right? It was a good rule of your world.
Yeah. I wanna. I don't know how we would go about it. No youth, like.
Do you just want to have no children? You want to have a world that has no children?
I was just trying to think. Yeah, that might be interesting.
Sure, a world full of adults. Does that mean that nobody can be impregnated in your world either? Like, just it doesn't happen? No reproduction whatsoever?
I was thinking something like, you get pregnant, you have a kid, the kid goes away, and then is brought back to you at a certain age.
That's a world that has children, though. That becomes more of a veil than a no. If it's a no, it doesn't exist.
Okay, I put that in the veil. No children. Or veiled children.
Yeah, that's something that's sort of, the veils are for the sort of hand-waved things.
Ooh. No suicide.
Now see, that's a good one because it defines a big thing about your world where everybody has to be there. You can get killed, you just can't do it yourself. So you gotta just live it out. I would ask this question. Does that take assisted suicide off the board? Like if you're like, I'm just gonna wander into this forest and starve, or I'm going to wander into this I know to be dangerous area and let whatever could kill me kill me. Does the world prevent you from doing that? Or are you just talking about direct, like, I can't blow my brains out here kind of
Any
suicide?
of it.
Any of it.
So
if you intend to kill yourself, the world won't allow you to.
Correct.
Okay.
And the way I see it is because, like, even if you put this into like it's 1-on-5, like I've got to do this fight for X, Y, or Z reason.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be considered suicide. Like hypothetically, to bring Naruto into it, when they're chasing Sasuke out the first time, and it's him, Neji, Choji, and all of them. When each one of them would stop to fight one of the other people, like that was like they thought they would die, but it was for a cause.
Sure.
So it wasn't a suicide.
Yes, absolutely. But what I'm saying is that when you say that all of it, that means if a person goes, I would like to give up on water until I die, and they consciously make the decision to do something that will stop them from living.
Correct.
They will not die.
No suicide of any kind.
If they're like, I wish to die, please come. Okay, I'm going to give you this and only this. This gives you a big hole in your world, because if you have the kind of fighter that's like, I want to be killed in battle, they will never die, because if they're like, go ahead, kill me. This will be great, right? Wanting to be killed, and they will never die.
Ugh. I guess assisted suicide can stay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We can leave it exactly the way you want, and that can just be something we can play off later. This immortal warrior. Like, maybe not everybody knows. Maybe only a couple people ever find out that if you beg for death, it will not come.
But then the people that do get put into slavery or something, that's unfortunate. No, I can't.
We don't have no slavery here, which is, one of the examples.
Suicide can exist. Sad.
Do you want slavery to exist?
So this is a broad world, and I don't know what's to come, and that might be a thing.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Put slavery in veils for me. I got my I got one of my veils now. Slavery. I don't want it to be in too incredible detail, but sure. It can be there. Just don't fucking dwell on it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No divine intervention.
Okay.
Like, and this is from an actual godlike creature, like coming down and interfering.
You realize that we're about to build the deities, and then the deities build the world.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, a deity would not be able to, like, oh, there's lava coming. A deity himself could not, like, fly down and grab those people.
So you're saying that in the world of the rules that we create, right? In the rules of the world we're about to create, neither of us, as the deities we create, can, because we're going to be maybe the only deities to this world.
Correct.
By the way, we're not going to be able to directly talk to
personally. Yes.
Any of the
there's going to be no divine intervention in any way other than like okay, well, lava was coming and
no direct contact by the divine, to be clear, because there'd be divine intervention. You could be like, I'll just prevent that from happening, but there'll be no direct contact by the divine.
Correct. And it will be something like the picture I'm trying to paint is that if there's lava flowing down a mountain or a volcano, sorry, and it's going to wipe out a town, instead of wiping out that town, the other deity could be like, the hills rise and reroute the lava.
Yeah.
But there will be no conversation between deity and people.
Right. There'll be no direct intervention. Like, there will be divine intervention. That's what this game is about. But there will be no direct contact with the world. Okay. That's a harsh one to some extent, but I fucks with it. All right, so our 4 no's right now are no sexual harm, no direct contact with the world, no child violence, and no sky. Wild.
So, I have children. You have slavery for veils. And these are ambiguous things that we're accepting, but not
accepting, but we're not dwelling on. The veils are the things that are like, we don't spend too much time on them. They're kind of like,
okay.
Yes, children.
They're the tolerable bads, I guess.
They're kind of like the tolerable bads. They're the, like,
it's a bad way to say it, but
well, I mean, it would be like one of the examples they use is sex, where it's like nobody really wants to like discuss sex in detail. Mm-hmm. So you would just be like, they have sex. we move on, right? That's why I was like, they have slavery. Move on. We don't need to go into like their like whipping the slaves and lynching that. Like I don't. That's okay. I don't think we should move straight to the veils. I think we should move straight to the yeses.
Okay.
Because like the veils probably will reveal themselves. As
Yeah, I agree.
For me, a big yes is a thing that this world has is a sense of scale. Like I wanted to feel endless. Like feel the feeling of the feeling
Yeah.
of endlessness. I think that's kind of one of the things we really are trying to capture here. So that's a big yes for me.
Sorry, I'm reading this comment.
Yes, feel free.
If you could climb the highest mountain spike, you could reach the absolute bottom of the water world and continue to swim up and around. But if you didn't have the equipment or could not breathe underwater, you could not really explore it.
I think that comment is in addition to the one right above it for No Sky. There's an old anime where the world were in layers, and the sky was literally the world on top of it, on top of it, which is made mostly of water. The light in the sky is a glowing fish, and when it looks like a ball, such as the sun or moon, it's a school of fish.
Interesting.
And in that anime, if you climb the highest mountain, you get to the bottom of the water. Wild. That's not what he means by no sky.
Yeah, I mean literally no sky. We'll get there, but
he means you'll never be able to see the sky. The sky doesn't exist as far as this world's concerned. Anyway, sense of scale, big yes for me, my boy. What do you got on that? Yes.
Big yeses. Infinite headroom potential. Like that's super weird thing to have.
It's such a weird phraseology, especially on the other side of no sky.
That's what I'm trying to say is, so there's no sky, but I don't want there to be limiting headroom in the sense that like 100-story building.
Yes.
And I think that would be reasonable, but
I think, first of all, infinite headroom is definitely not the way to say that. Headroom is maybe not a word there at all. I get what you're saying. I think that feels like more of a veil, right? The veil is the height, where we don't really go into a lot of detail of how tall anything could be. But
okay, yeah. Absolute wants.
Big yeses, things that should be in it. Things that you're like, yeah, we can have that, but like, oh, actually, here you go.
Different climates. I want that to be an exist. That I want that.
Okay. Now, it is important that these yeses don't have to be things that have to exist, but like these are things that are like, yes, these absolutely can exist. So these are things that no matter what, they can exist. I want to talk about technology level for my yes. What
Okay.
I think that yes, we should have at least current era level of technology, but I'm willing to discuss if you would love to, if you're interested in using futuristic technologies or not.
I would say endless state, even futuristic.
Okay, so all technology available.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. That's my second yes. All technology available for sure. Look out for that portal gun. It's on 905.
I was on to something too. Loops, in the sense that, like, because we know a little bit about the world, ILA2 would loop back to A1.
Okay.
You said portals, that's why I was like, you read my mind for a second, because I was like, kind of portals, like, that will just repeat a process. I want that to be a thing that is established at points in this world, like it is a known thing, like, hey, be careful going that way.
Because you'll just end up back here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Loops. All right. Yeses and nos.
Also, like how I was saying, sorry, back to the loops again. How if this quadrant that we decided next to this one, they want to go here, but this one was a level 1, this one's a level 2 quadrant or whatever, it would loop you back to town center.
That's something that we'll have to discuss more later. I don't really want to get into that now because that feels like something we would really go back and forth on, and maybe even get a third opinion, because that's.
Okay, we could pull it off then.
I mean, the loop in and of itself can stay, but like what you're talking about specifically there.
Teleportation. That's a better way for me to put it. It does exist.
Teleportation does exist, more than just magic. Actually, to throw another yes in there, do you want magic in the world?
Ooh.
Because that can go in either the yes or the no, and that's important. You could also put it in the veils if you're just like, yeah, but it's not like a focus of anything.
Okay, yeah. We'll put it in yeses.
Okay. Magic is in the yeses. Now we can obviously stop as soon as we've each put in 2. But if there's a couple things that we want, the whole point of this is to have something to reference. So when we're talking about stuff, we can go, no, you can't do that. That's in the no's. Or, oh, yeah, it's in the yeses.
Violence.
Oh, yeah, obviously violence.
Yes. And I'm saying, like, crimes. Like, any kind of violence.
Sure.
Not just mutual violence.
Sure. Well, everything except for sexual harm and child violence.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that for me, let's see, is there anything else that I'm like, this is important to talk about? We talked about technology. We talked about magic level.
Ooh. Would this be included in all tech available, like steroids? Like, can things that are consumed?
I would.
You would include that under tech?
I would, because what you're talking about is science, and science is based in tech, or
if-
technology is a tool of science.
I'm saying anything like a potion injection or anything like that.
Then it goes back to magic.
Okay. I guess, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
you have,
I was just thinking to like treat it as a street drug that they found or whatever, and
sure, good thing you didn't put no drugs in there.
and that's why I took it back.
I mean, I think like for me, probably depends on power source. Yeah, for me, it's like if it's something that science created, well, that's a part of
Okay.
the all tech being available. If it's something that magic created,
We're covered under the two then.
huh?
We're covered under those two then.
Yeah, for the most part, I think those two really help define the world. We should put one more
Veil.
veil, and it's on me. I'd say that my last veil will be for me.
Is Cone.
It's cold. I think for me the last veil will be origin.
Okay. Like each player's origin story.
No, I mean like the world's origin. That's something that's like I
Okay.
think that adds to the world. That it's like
Yeah.
obviously it got created,
Yeah, it exists, but we're not gonna focus everything on it.
but like the story there is like, oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff happened. We exist now.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. On to the next.
All right. So we made our palette. I think it's pretty good. Next, we're going to do the deities. Once you've completed your palette, it's time. How late do you want to go, by the way?
Chilling.
Okay. Once you've completed your palette, it's time to decide the nature of your deities, how they appear, and what their names will be. Answer the following questions together. You do not need to answer all of these questions, and can likely. You do not need to answer all of these questions, and your answers can and likely will differ between deities. All right, let's start with the first question. What relationship do they all have to each other? Now, there's only the two of us, so I don't know if you want to do this thing where we each make multiple deities, or do you want to invent a world with just two deities, and if we have somebody else join in later, we'll have a third deity.
Okay. So, give me 1 second before I answer that question.
One Mississippi. Got him. Fucking got him, viewers. For all you out there, fucking got him.
You
He might as well have said goblin, because he was gobbling these nuts. Fucking nailed him. Let's read what Kenny's been talking about. Even if gravity did not exist, then you go. Oh, he's using loops with the no sky. Whoa, that would be weird. That's funny. That's an interesting idea, Kenny. Combining the loops idea with the no sky idea.
Yeah.
Get to the highest point. Whoop, right back at the ground. What?
Okay, I don't know if this guy has a brother, but it's way too long in my thought process. Unless that is him. I don't think it is though. My deity. Never mind.
You're jumping the gun, and I can feel it already.
Well, no,
What relationship do they all have?
I was gonna say I wanted to say brothers. That's what I'm going with, brothers.
It could be zone control, and I think that's really what he's talking
yeah.
about. Is that it is zone control? He wants to use the loops and the teleportation as zone control. Yeah, let's go with brothers. All right. So our two deities. To go back to my first question, I assume we're just going to make two single deities.
Yes.
Okay. For brothers, what do they look like? Do they have physical appearance at all? Can they appear as different things whenever they want? Being that we made a no that direct contact, I can't imagine we could appear as different things.
I agree.
We want. So that's an easy one to strike off the list.
Yep.
What do they look like? Do they have physical appearance at all? What do you think? Do we have physical appearance at all?
No.
Okay. Then I look like a gray energy.
I look like a white energy.
Done. Swirling in a spiral. Yeah, spiraling gray energy. Ooh, vaguely humanoid, but just not quite. Description done. Do they have a specific symbol or a motif they like to use? Do you have a specific symbol or motif?
Yes.
What you got?
And this is the symbol that people worship me at?
If they do at all, yes.
Okay. It is going to be I can't think of a way to describe it. It's almost like the loading sign. You know what I'm talking about? When you get like a spinning wheel, but it's just the prongs instead. Yes, but just the prongs, and it being 3 upper and 3 lower.
Okay, sure.
That's my symbol.
That's your symbol and or motif.
Mm-hmm.
If
you want this, I can.
You just draw it somewhere. Is that what you're gonna do?
Oh, even better. Share screen.
You're already sharing your screen.
Is it? It's not showing on my end.
Well, I still see your old shared screen.
Okay. Share that one. Okay. Oh my gosh, what's going on? There it is. No. There we go. Okay.
While you're figuring that out, I will use, if we're just going with symbol and not motif, the symbol that my deity will use is an eye, but it will be indistinguishable as a left eye or a right eye. Just a single eye.
There we go, Jeff.
I can't see anything.
I shared screen.
I'm looking at it. I cannot see anything.
It shows. I'm sharing.
Okay, hold on. Let me try this on for size. Let's see if this fucks things up.
Oh.
And we're back.
How about now? Do you see it?
Yes.
The Walmart logo.
Oh. You could have just said the Walmart logo. I don't know why you...
That was more fun. That's my symbol.
Okay, well, for copyright's sake, it's got to be not the same colors at least, so keep that in mind.
And also, the end of those tacks aren't rounded. Mine are straight lines.
Okay.
No rounded corners here.
Very
That's
different.
going in my nose. No round corners.
All right, yeah, eye, single eye, indistinguishable as a left or a right eye. That's my symbol.
The Eye of Ra.
The eye of whatever my name is. All right. What do they collectively call themselves, and what are their individuals' names? Do we call ourselves something as a pantheon? Or are we just gods? The
The
third
boys.
eye. Yes. The boys?
Yeah.
Like the Amazon show? The boys? Anyways.
No, just the boys.
The boys. Here
Praise be
comes
to the boys.
boys.
Praise be to the boys.
And praise be the boys. It's
I
a
like that.
Saturday. It is for the boys.
Oh, I like that.
It's a Saturday, and as we all know, Saturday is for the boys.
That's it. That's canon.
All right, fine. Together we're the boys. What are our names individually?
Definitely Chad.
Your name, as a deity, will be Chad.
No. It's going to be Doug.
Okay, Doug. Are you taking notes? Let me go back to the note page. All right. Big old notes here. This guy. All right.
Oh, I was just about to do that.
Oh, it changes your color when I change the color.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
I don't know why mine highlighted.
I don't either. I'm not the one who did it. What's your deity name? Doug Funny?
Yeah.
He's one of
No.
the better Dougs.
Doug.
Doug.
No, just Doug.
Doug. Light. Energy. Mass. Symbol. Of the Walmart logo. All right, Doug.
You know, like the CEO of Walmart, Doug McMillan.
All right. Yeah. All right. I like the idea of this. We're very quickly establishing something. So I'm going to continue this weird thing we're establishing, where you're making Walmart jokes, and I am going to be the eldritch horror that somehow gave this place power. So on the other side of that, where you are Doug, I'll be Golnak. Golnak the Forsaken. Golnax. Ooh, I like that even better.
You really want to be nicknamed Ballsacks?
Listen, bitch, I'm a god. The only one who could possibly do that is you. The all-seeing. Golnax the all-seeing. Oh, well, didn't mean to make that all caps, but whatever.
Such a long name, Jeff.
Yeah. It's not even that long.
Oh, it's the description of what you look like.
There we go. All right. There we go. We have names now. We're the boys. It's Doug and Golnack's the All-Seeing. What are each of their specialties? What are your specialties?
By the way, this is kind of going. Crowd control. In the sense of chaos.
Okay.
Like, because if you're going to be the Eldritch Being, it's kind of like the good versus evil. So I imagine you're going to be bringing more chaos, and I'll be putting out those fires. Calming your chaos. And sometimes my choice, while it may be in my mind not chaos, may actually be chaos. Because we can't choose good and evil, you know? You're not.
Golnack, the lost popcorn. Oh, gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny, you're funny. Yeah, sure. If that's how you, if you think you can, yeah. All right, yeah.
No.
Of order. Gary, God of order.
Doug, first off.
Sorry, Doug. My bad. I don't know why I said Gary. Doug, God of order.
What am I known for? I can't say impeccable smile.
I don't even know what have you known for. What are your specialties was the last thing that I read off.
Yeah.
Your specialty is order.
No.
As you've just stated.
I'm taking that back. Did you not gather that? I said, no, I can't do that. The second you said the God of order, I was like, no.
Okay. Doug, the digging dazzler.
You know what? I'm known for the Dimmadome. You know, Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimstill Dimmadome.
Listen. I don't know if Nickelodeon has high-powered lawyers, but I don't really want to fuck with them, maybe. So, Doug, Dimmadome. How about that?
I Dimma won't. I will be the god of construction.
Destruction.
Construction.
Okay. Your specialty is building.
Should have been named Bob.
Doug the Dorito Man, sir. Yes.
I should have been Bob. Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder. Can we build it? Yes, we can.
Can at Walmart.
All right. My specialty.
When you're here, your family.
My specialty. It feels like since there's just the two of us, we should do this antithesis thing. But like, I don't know. This could take 2 or 3 sessions, and maybe we'll want to get Jay in here. So then it would be weird to have the antithesis. So yeah. I won't go in that direction. I won't be destruction, right? That won't be my specialty. I think instead my specialty will be
crops.
No, definitely not crops.
Weather.
If yours is construction.
Weather. God of the elements.
Shut up and allow me to think.
God of war.
You're such a pain in my ass. Anyways, if you're destruction or if you're construction, I'm not going to be destruction. I think I think my specialty will be change.
Ooh. I
Like the
that.
seasons and the days, the weather.
Well, I want to be the god of time then.
The times change. You are just a slave to me.
Time doesn't change if I don't let it.
Incorrect. Time always changes.
Anyway.
Even you changing whether time changes or not is a change.
It'll end faster if I eat this D6. Ah, wait, no, there's no. Oh, no, there is suicide in the world. Okay, good.
All right. What is their hope for the world they plan to make?
Endless building. Are you there, Jay?
Yes, I was reading and thinking. I was reading and thinking. Endless building is your hope for the world.
Mhm.
An endless expanse.
Yes.
Okay.
Not necessarily all congested, like one massive structure, but like never-ending ability to expand.
That's what I said. An endless expanse. Those were the
Yes.
were the words I used.
Yep.
All right, was able to mute for that cough. I think my hope for the world is that we plan to make, as Garlax, the All-Seeing, is to bring a sense of strange to the world. Like, I want it to be off. I want it to be wild, and like this world, even more than maybe some of the stuff that you said. That's, if I'm going to be a part of it, that's what I want. That's my hope as a deity for the world, is to see it strange. I want a world you double take on.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Are you still taking notes?
Yes.
Good. Next question. What is their greatest fear? Ooh, that's a toughie. Greatest fear. I think that Garlax the All-Seeing's greatest fear is, I mean, it's in the name. It's losing sight. It's like not seeing things come to fruition. It's losing contact. You know, not seeing what happens. What about for Doug, the
Greatest
constructor?
fear.
What about for good old hard hat wearing Doug? Should have muted for that cough. Doug the hard hat. Doug the hard hat. Doug the hard hat. I'm dead.
A non-commercial world.
A non-commercial world. Okay. Price tags on everything.
Yeah.
Everything in the world has a price tag on it.
Mm-hmm.
Price check on IO alphanumeric A002355555. Cool. What is their major limitation? Do they each have a personal weakness? If so, what is it? So I think when it says what is their major limitation, it implies all of us.
Yeah.
And for that, it's the ability to interact
I was
directly
going to say
with the world.
interaction.
Yeah, we can't interact directly with the world. That's our major limitation. That's in the no palette. The no on the palette, so that one's easy to answer. But do they each have a personal weakness? Is a question we can answer. Do we each have a personal weakness?
I don't think so. I think just the way it is.
All right, going with a no on the personal weaknesses. Let's see. How will the deities view mortals? Do they cherish them, or do they believe they are insignificant?
I
Eli.
believe they view them as toys. Not insignificant, but as a child with toys, as you care about them. But they are just toys to be played with.
I think that Doug would see them as tools. If you're doing Doug the way that you've been doing him so far, like they're just like they're a means to an end.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They're playthings.
Yeah. But I think that Garlax sees them more like a pet, like an ant farm, though. Like not like a pet you take a lot of care of. A pet that you watch and you feed sometimes and you gawk at.
Move to the next page.
Sure. All right.
You view them as
And in that way, I somewhat cherish. I'd say I would somewhat cherish them, but not so intensely. You know, if an ant in your ant farm dies, you don't go no. You go, oh, that's unfortunate. Little
Okay.
Jimmy died. Must have been a hard life.
Okay, that's how we view people.
All right. What drives your deities to create? Power, curiosity, boredom? Or do they even realize they're doing it at first?
Power.
Power?
No. Creation.
You're driven to create by creation?
You're driven by creation.
What drives you to create?
Boredom.
That's what the question is. Boredom?
Boredom.
Okay. Curiosity. That's my answer. last question for the deities. Where did the deities come from? Another world? Or have they always existed? I think we came from another world. I think that's evident by the existence of this
Yeah.
Walmart-like
Yeah.
world. I would say we came from another world, but I don't know. I don't think it need be really going into a lot of detail as to where that is or what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Next, to finish up this phase, which maybe we won't even do, but the next part of this phase is the initial world. Your world is empty and featureless, plain to begin with. Perhaps it is a barren landscape of rocks and wind, an endless ocean with a speck of sand waiting to be brought to the surface, or maybe just a tiny something waiting to be plucked from the vast enormity of the void. Take some time discussing what exactly the emptiness is before moving on. Once you've decided what the emptiness is, it's time to give it a bit of structure. Start by drawing a rough outline of the world to represent the coastline and major features. During this time, you are welcome to throw down any significant feature you may want. Maybe someone really wants a tall mountain in the north, or a grand river that bisects the eastern continent. Feel free to add such details, but don't get too detailed now, as that will come with play. Stick with a small number of continents and do not make one for each player. It's very easy to fall into chopping up a map by player. Draw together and leave spots for others to fill in. You may even want to take turns drawing. So I don't think we're going to do that today.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a later day sort of thing, a next session sort of thing. I think today we've done the palette and we've created our deities. We have some good notes.
Sure, if that's what you want to call them.
That's what I'll call them for now. We've got our yeses, our nos. Right, our palette's done. It looks right. Then we've got the boys. Doug, a white energy mass with a symbol of a Walmart logo. Goal, endless expanse. Fear, a non-commercial world. View the creatures as toys. And driven to create by boredom. On the other side, we have Galnax, the all-seeing, a gray spiraling energy being with a symbol of an eye. The goal is a strange world. Fear of losing sight. Views creatures as pets, and drive to make things as curiosity. The only thing you didn't put on there is what our specialties were.
Oh, yeah. Your specialty is
Change.
change.
One indistinguishable eye. All right, let's move towards wrapping up. So, thank you anybody who joined us. This one's going to definitely be one of the slower ones because it's like the setup, and every time we have a setup, one of these, I'm sure it'll be equally slow. But I appreciate anybody who did join and made it through my stuffed nose and my coughing and all my bullshit.
And me.
Yes, and all of Henry's bullshit. This is the beginning of our path to building what's undoubtedly not a better world, but a different world. Building by Torchlight with Torchlight Tavern. We will keep doing these weird games, this one specifically, and many more. And we hope to see you join us on this journey. But until then, you can catch us this Friday for a wonderful episode of Mythcraft Country, where we go back to the game of Mythcraft, which will be exciting. And maybe this Sunday, big maybe, for a Sunday fun day where I might jump on and play some Baldur's Gate. We'll see. If nothing else, next Wednesday we'll return to Wacko Mundo, another game I host, and we'll have fun with that. But until then, please go give our podcast a check. That's Torchlight Tavern on all your podcatchers. You can put Torchlight Tavern into the Google. You'll find our Instagram, our Patreon, our Ko-fi, whatever it is, our Facebook, all the things, our website. It's all there. Torchlight Tavern.
Our X.
You'll find our X. You know what?
Hopefully
And
not
leave
our
her where you
X's.
found her.
Oh, I was talking about Twitter X.
That also. It's all there. Go give us a follow. Go give us a like. Please check out our podcast, Torchlight Tavern, Black Powder, just started. We're on
Black
episode 35, I believe. And it's really good. We're very proud of it. So give it a listen. But until then, well, I'm not going to go straight into it. Henry, do you have anything you want to say to our viewers?
I just want to say, Kenny, thank you for showing up and showing up when you show up.
Hell
Really
yeah.
appreciate it. Anyone else here? Thank you guys for stopping by.
Yes.
And I hope you had a good time. It's fun trying to build all this stuff, and as quippy as I normally am, tonight I was not.
Absolutely not. Well, that's okay though. We had fun. So we hope to see you next time. And until next time, tell good stories.
Tell good stories.